Holy Paladin after rework is absolutely amazing. I love it. We already got a huge nerf on comparison how much usual Blizzard is nerfing. We got 8% nerf to healing, 12% nerf to damage, but doesn't matter. Holy Paladin is still huge. So let's talk about the Paladins. I will start with the stats, a little bit about the gear, then we'll go through talents, gameplay priority rotation, however you want to call it. Then I will jump talk on cooldowns, a little bit about damage and utilities. So let's start with the stats. I need to bring back my shiny UI. Now about the stats, our best stats are critical and haste. You would say critical is more, it was haste before. I will say critical and haste is top priority, both of them, and want to pub it as high as possible, as soon as possible. What you want to do with critical haste to get it between 5000, 5500, that's the golden spot where you want to be with the critical and the haste, and then the rest what you have with stats should be like around 2 or 3000 depending on your gear, and we'll go to versatility. You should avoid mastery. It's not bad, but our other stats are just boosting us better. Mastery is even better now when we have new talent on mastery distance, so our beacons are actually working like ourselves for proximity of mastery. So we are healing a ranged target much easier than ever before, but we have default mastery is quite high enough, and we have some mastery talents. Here it is, it's 4% mastery, already increasing, and I have some stuff you cannot get rid of mastery, like I have this bag, and that bag is unique, so you cannot change stats. So I have about 700 mastery that I shouldn't have. So you get some mastery passively, but you're trying to avoid. And versatility is also not increasing only healing, but it's also increasing your damage and your survivability, what is very valuable in M+ content. So as soon as possible, we are getting haste and critical. I have a very low critical strike because I was going for full haste and versatility from before this patch, so I'm still looking for new pieces of gear and recrafting all items. I have unnecessary 1000 mastery on the next that's been bringing me up. That 1000 mastery should be 1000 critical. That would make my stats much better. And it's also nice because in raid we also want critical mastery. So when you are building your dungeon build, it's very similar stats for raid, and that's, I would say, quite unique on healers. I think even for damagers, not really sure, but it's really nice. You can play in raid exactly the same gear stat priorities as we playing in M+. In raid, probably mastery will be king, but this is about M+, so we want versatility over mastery. A little pieces of gear, you obviously want 4 pieces, the no-brain hair, and usually just one tangle level trinkets. Definitely this for most of the healer, if not every, is Rashok. It's absolutely beast even for dungeons, and the second trinket I have this one because I just have it. But the second trinket would be best to have beacon, but alternatives is the essence or the scale from the first boss encounter. That's also very strong trinkets for the healer, but beacon is beacon. But everybody wants it, so it's hard to get and hard to roll it. And just playing with random people in raid, or even with guild because everybody wants it. So let's hop on the talents. With Paladin, it's a little bit easier. Yeah, definitely there is a lot of choices, but some default you can do every single dungeon with, and almost every single affix you don't have something shenanigans like with a shaman or druid, or take there, put there, and etc, whatever. And Paladin is more straightforward. Obviously there's many choices, but even just few you really should know. And then there's one click here, it's turn evil. You really want that when you have affix, you need to control polymorph, spheres, everything. Turn evil is working for that. You also can take repentance for that, but you're losing binding light, so it's better to turn evil. You can easily take defense from here. It's just 2% movement speed and 2% area attack, or dispel, then you can afford that. And the second choice talents you can have, it's another take this talents or dispel talent. You cannot because you need to get to the blinded. Take a little bit defense and put it to a retribution aura. If you are not playing very high keys, I would say till 24s, if you're not playing obviously with bad people, but up to 24 you can afford yourself to use retribution aura to get that dungeon faster. for that extra 5% of damage. 25 plus, I would just go with Devotion, as usual and always, even for our Mastery. Let's move for gameplay rotation priorities and stuff like that. So, what is so important on Paladin with the healing is he's not actual Disco Priest anymore, because he got damage wings and you healed with the damage, similar to Disco Priest. But now you are doing damage and you are healing from that, but not actually healing with the damage, because we are no longer using that damage wings. But if you are in dungeon, even in raid, you just want to click your abilities to pump some damage, and that damage is passively increasing your holy power. That can be obviously spent on even more damage, but you can use that holy power for healing. So if you don't have a rush with the healing, you can be spending heals on holy power, and every damage ability you have. That's our ideal healing in dungeon, is just with the holy power. Obviously holy power has for damage, but if holy power is enough, that's enough. The best things to what to click when generating holy power is new Crusader Strike, because now it's generating 2 holy power. So that's first priority when generating holy power with the damage. The second one is Judgment. It's just one, but we have new talent over here, Greater Judgment, and it's preventing next damage that enemy deals. So basically you are healing 24,000 damage, because it's preventing. Obviously it would be less because tank have armor and stuff like that, but it's quite a lot damage prevention, and it's also consuming that judgment when you put critical strike with the holy light or holy shock. You have infusion of light, and I mean great judgment prevents 100% more damage. Because before, if you have this proc from critical strike of holy shock, there was no use for that, because we didn't cast. It was on flash of light or holy light. But now with the judgment, you have 100% damage prevention increase. I mean, it's I lost. That means this is 23,500. It's multiplied by 2, and that's 45 something thousand DPS or damage taken prevented. A little bit less, but this is their theory. So that's another good, because we are using that for doing damage. Judgment is decent damage, and with that damage we are also preventing, and we are getting holy power that can be potential good heal or just another damage. So Crusader Strike and Judgment is our priority for doing damage. For healing. And then the other group we have is Hammer of Wrath. When you can, that's most damage we can do, and you're generating 1 holy power. It's a really cheap on mana, but it's long cooldown, and target need to be under 20% of health, or our wings need to be active. Our wings, I mean Emerging Wrath. Most people let's call it wings. And Holy Shock. Obviously that's very strong heal, but when we don't need to heal much, and we even have time for using Holy Power for damage, we just heal with Wall of Glory, single target, and we use the Holy Shock for damage because it's very decent damage. Definitely with New Glimmer is doing much more damage than before. And between that, dealing damage, you're also dealing damage with concentration, but it's again for healing too, because when we are standing on concentration, we have this stance was here before, our Wall of Glory healing is increased by 20%. So that's another thing we want to be prepared when we are healing, and we should always keep our mind to place concentration on the ground. So we have increased healing, but now we have another talent that is having 50% chance. You don't need to play it, but it's really nice, and keeping you a lot of global cooldowns, or just worries about placing concentration always on the ground. And we have 50% chance, and oh, I got rock, nice. Another gas concentration that is increasing our healing. So we didn't get to healing yet, but so let's recapitulate it. Crusader Strike and Judgment first priority while doing damage and preparing for healing, because Crusader Strike 2 holy power, Judgment 1 holy power, but it's preventing damage. When these two are on cooldowns, they're Hammer of Wrath, because it's cheap on mana and doing a lot of damage, and then Holy Shock. But with Holy Shock, spending on damage, we are missing its percentage heals, but glimmers from that are healing already. I will talk about glimmers a little bit later As the last, we are keeping concentration. So these are 4 damaging abilities that we are generating only power that can be used for healing, and concentration we should always stand in it, but overall concentration is doing a lot of damage. Unlucky, I said in my logs. He's doing lots of damage, so he's also helping your team in that wise. You don't really need to think about it, just place him on the ground, stand in it. He's doing lots of damage on AoE and buffing up 20% of your main heal. So we are starting to heal now. We have some holy power and we are sending concentration. Let's keep that in mind. Another thing we need to have prepared, it's beacons. We are wearing now 2 beacons talents. We changed it from Beacon of Virtue. We was playing that before this patch came. 2 beacons now. It's working nicely with new mastery, because on target on beacon is 100% mastery, and if somebody standing close, it's almost 100, well, depending on proximity, obviously. So we want to use this on ranged, because what we are doing with Paladin, we are standing on melee. So we are using it on ranged, and obviously on DPS. Me as Holy Paladin and tank, we are on melee. Put it on 2 ranged DPS. If you don't have 2 ranged, just put it on somebody else. It doesn't really matter, but prioritize ranged DPS because it's much easier to heal them and to increase the reach of the mastery. Also try to prioritize a little bit squishier classes, but it doesn't really matter. You just choose 2 ranged DPS, and if you're doing dungeon, you will notice somebody is dying more than others. Just change the beacons. It's also very useful for tank, when it's some tank that is dying a lot. Maybe it's bad player, or it's just dungeon or just area where there's heavy hitting adds that are really destroying tank. Just putting on 1 beacon on tango. And with those 2 beacons, we usually spot heal the 3rd DPS or R. Tank is usually full when it's AoE situation, but if you're dying tank, is usually only tank dying, then you are just topping tank and you profit for your beacons. So let's finally get to abilities that we are using specially for heal. So with it, we are doing constantly damage and generating some, let's say, free holy power, because that holy power was not generated from healing, it was generated from damage. And we have beacons and we are sending concentration. So the damage started happening. Then we are clicking Holy Prism. It's absolute beast with the new 2-set 4-piece 2. And it's healing a loads and it's doing also damage. Short cooldown when we are doing critical strike with the Holy Shock. And that means we even want to use it when there is nothing to heal, because we want to use that damage. Is this amount. So when you are smacking, you are on trash or on a boss, use it on friendly target. And I was too close, you didn't see the 5 beams, but damage you see, it's 60k damage. It's very decent. Did I go to 1 critical? It's very decent single click for healer to do 60k damage. It's very decent damage for healer. If you are punting single enemy, maybe it's boss, just use an enemy, it's not dealing that much more. Its defense is like 5,000, little more, over 5,000, 6,000 actually. It's not much, but if you have just 1 target and nobody needs to heal, it's just better use it on an enemy. And Holy Prism from healing perspective is somebody who has held like single person, just blast it to single target. It's healing loads a single target. How much I got? 88k. I should try target dummy. I would see it nicely here. But if you want to burst for AoE, it's better for enemy target. Healing is about 60,000 pure blasting or single target, and about 30,000 when it's AoE. But when it's AoE, let's show on this guy. In front of me. Yeah, you see the shiny beams. And it was huge heal. Maybe I overhealed something. Oh, nothing is overhealed. 260k healing. So that is 5 times 30k. I hold mastery increase and some critical strikes. So definitely for more healing is to enemy target. You get only 1 holy power. But it's much faster and it's AoE. So that's the difference. When you go into single target, you will get double heal for single, but it's obviously less overall. an asset and use it on single target. Where is my healing done? It didn't show it. It's just damage. Unlucky here, but it's 60k default. It's just twice for the single target, and you are getting 3 holy power, not just 1. So there's another bonus for that. You get 2 extra holy power that you usually spend for another single target damage. So also for damage is difference between if you are damaging single or AoE, and also for healing is difference if you want to heal more single or you want to heal more AoE. But this is cheaper mana comparison to like how good performance is from Holy Prison, and it's doing a lot of damage, doing a lot of healing, and it's doing both at the same time. So it's always nice to start with that and use it on its cooldown. And obviously this is not enough for healing, and if you need more healing, just there's stupid Holy Prism now and then, we are starting to heal with the Ball of Glory. That's our Holy Power spender, if not for damage. We have also Light of Dawn, but Light of Dawn for dungeons, it's worth it just a little bit more in specific situations, so it's just easier for you to just forget that ability exists and just don't click it in dungeon and don't think about that. It can do some healing. When you count herb per second, this is, well, herb per second, like per click of ability, this is 10,000 target hit. And Ball of Glory in concentration, I need to look in the spellbook, don't have a bandit there, it's 45,000. That means you need to hit 4 and let's say half targets. So it's only a little bit stronger for AoE heals, but usually you don't heal everybody on AoE. If there's heavy AoE, usually tank is full and vice versa, and some 2 targets is dying, and maybe then tank is dying too. It's usually never all the 5 targets, but somebody use defense, so that guy is not dying. So it's usually wasted. And another problem is you would need to spend talents for the distance of Light of Dawn, because it's only 15 yards. And another thing, you need to hit 5 people with that, so you need to pay attention when who is standing, and it's so much trouble. We just don't use it, and we prefer our Ball of Glory and sending concentration with it to have buff it 20%. So somebody is dying, Holy Prism is out, we are blasting Ball of Glory, and we are generating that holy power, and we are smacking target. When we are healing AoE, we are trying to target somebody who doesn't have beacon, because if you are use that ability on somebody who has beacon, it's not shared to another target. It is just optimal AoE. If target with the beacon is dying, it's obviously a primary target. So now Prism is not enough, Ball of Glory is not enough, and we need to start healing. Then we are starting to use Holy Shock and just spreading that Glimmer. So let's talk first about how Glimmer is working, and then let's talk about when to use Holy Shock, how to use Holy Shock, because everything is together with the Glimmer. Our Glimmer got a huge buff. Yeah, it got a huge buff, and also a little bit rework how it's working. So when you use Holy Shock, it doesn't matter if it's friendly target, we are getting Glimmer of Light. It's up there now. It was last talent before the patch. If you do an enemy target, you got Glimmer too. So what is Glimmer doing? Glimmer is some buff or debuff that is staying on target that will be activated next time you use another Holy Shock. And also it can be chance to be triggered not with the next Holy Shock, but when we spend Holy Power. But usually we're thinking about it's triggered or next use of Holy Shock. What it's doing? It's doing damage, 17,000 damage, or healing for 21,000. But now that damage or healing is split among all targets that have Glimmer. Glimmer is kept on the 5 targets. It's kept on the 8 targets. It's 3 default, and then you have talent is this one, and you should definitely have that talent. That's 5 more. That's no-brainer. You need this talent, so you have 8 cap. And so if you have only 1 friendly and 1 enemy target Glimmers, because healing is not sharing and damage is not sharing, between you don't do damage to enemy and friendly target as well. So the enemy target will get 100% of the damage, and friendly target will get 100% of the heal. That's most effective, but If you have more of them, it's healing or damaging much less on one target, but it's increasing by 6% for each another target. So if you have 8 targets, it's increase 6 multiplied by 8. So overall it's better if you have more targets, but it's less performance on that solo target. And how we are using glimmers, it's nice to see who have it, sometimes to just reapply it because it's nice passive healing when everybody from your group have glimmer on yourself, and you just need a little bit AoE healing, or just only tank have it, a little bit healing, and you are doing damage with Holy Shock anyway. So I have it there. I'm doing damage, I don't want to bother, and I'm use Glimmer, bam, 19k healing. This is the Rush Shock, is my trinket. Don't worry about the healing, but yeah, when I use it, 27 critical strike, and that is absolutely free because you are doing damage, you didn't plan to heal. So it's nice to keep it on a group, just to spread it up, to use Holy Shock on full target, when on next 30 seconds you will just do damage and you will get healing. You don't even need to pay that much attention to it, but it's really nice to just min-max your character, just to pump that little extra numbers. And some good exemplary use for glimmers is the one you just keep it on tank because nobody's dying, and tank is always getting damage, not saying dying. And everybody else is full. It's nice to keep one on tank because all that heals will go to one target, it will be strongest, and tank, extra defense for tank is absolutely huge. Or you are just keeping it on group, and there is AoE. You want to check on duration of your glimmer and targets that is just ending on them. You just reuse it again. So mine is ending, I see. So I've just used it even if I have full health. When there is AoE always sticking, it's just worth it to reapply it, and your next Holy Shocks will heal that target. Now I will be healing a little bit less because I have more, because there was so much numbers there. I think there was 8,000 instead of 16,000. That should be or 21. It's 21, yeah. It was 8 because it was split between 4 targets, and buffed by 24% because it were 4 targets. Purpose of uses is just extra healing, and obviously when you're doing damage, you are spreading it and you're doing extra damage. Another special thing we have new on Glimmer, it's giving 60% reduced damage, it's split. If only one target had Glimmer, it got 60% reduced damage. You can keep that 100% uptime. So, if nobody else is getting damage or just very little, if you keep only one friendly Glimmer, is split between friendly Glimmers. Obviously, you're not decreasing reduced damage Taiken on enemy. That will be a little bit sketchy and stupid, and a little bit insanely annoying for our gameplay. So if only tank have it, it's 60% reduced damage basically forever, because Holy Shock cooldown is 6.3 seconds and a lot of abilities are reducing cooldown on Holy Shock. Like for example, we have Judgment, and Judgment is consuming Infusion of Light. That's when we got our critical strike on Holy Shock, and that is reducing our Holy Shock by 2 seconds, so there's no reason you shouldn't keep Glimmer on the tank all the time just for the reduced damage, if not healing. And there is a third mechanic with that, and it's also pumping shield. So 50% of overheal from Glimmer is giving target shield. I think it's 8 seconds duration, let's see. Yeah, it's starting with 7. So it's 8 because we have 0. That's last second. So it's for 8 seconds. And what that means? We can prepare our group when it's huge exposed damage. You have something that will just do one instant of damage instantly, and there is no more. And people need to survive that. And this is absolutely huge when there's some classes that don't have much defensives, like Enhanced Shaman. He have just 1 defense. It's a very strong one, but it's just 1. So if damage repeats after 20 seconds, he don't have anything. So there's nothing he can do, and these things can absolutely save that person. You can prepare shields, and you can prepare that defense, and you spread it on 5 friendly targets. Obviously 16% is reduced much less, but it's still a decent percent. It's 3.1, let's say. Percent reduce is not much, but it can be difference between life and death when you use, you know, on 5 targets. It's absolutely amazing to just reduce damage over people with something we always had and it was never that strong. So Glimmer is providing us a little extra healing damage too. We don't really need to think about that is doing extra healing. And if that's overheal, so it's working on full target, it's pumping to the shields and it's damage reduction. So new Glimmer is doing more damage, more healing, damage reduction, and even overheal is to shield. It's absolutely amazing. So let's go back to Holy Shock with that knowledge. And the Holy Shock is our spreader. So obviously we want to heal with Holy Shock as Holy Shock. But then we changing the targets. And after we change few targets, now when I do Holy Shock, it's 83. Okay, together. And under one, that I don't know what that was. I want to calculate. Let's do one more. Bam. That was a lot of critical there. So when we had loads of Holy Shocks, Glimmer, 5 hits, overheal because one was on me. The average was 7.3, yeah, because 4 or 5 targets. So this is power of our Holy Shock. It's not only Holy Shock healing, but it's also healing of Glimmer of Light. That's also huge. And then when we do the critical strike, it's also buffing our Gates of Judgment. That's damage prevention. But there's another special mechanic. So Holy Shock is not simple. I will click heal, it will heal. You have huge value with the Glimmers, potential healing with the Glimmers when you have a lot of Glimmer spread or just one Glimmer spread. If I do this one click, second click, that was 2 clicks. And you see, Holy Shock heal less in 2 clicks than Glimmer in 2 clicks. And we got 1 critical, but you see the potential. So Holy Shock, don't think about Holy Shock, think about it obviously as a heal, but it's more value as the Glimmer of Light provider on once, and also the Glimmer of Light activated on the old targets, and this is just extra from beacons. He always had that. So that's essential what we do with Paladin. We do damage to get the Holy Power if we want to use that Holy Power healing, otherwise it's for damage. We have beacons and we standing on concentration. Then we use Prison Cooldown, War of Glory, and Holy Shock. That's base of Holy Paladin healing. And also with Holy Shock, it's worth to spread just Glimmer of Light on more of the targets, depending if you are healing single target or AoE, then even on enemy targets, it's nice to spread. So yeah, Holy Prism Cooldown, War of Glory, Holy Shock, and think about Glimmers and using on Holy Shock. We also can use Flash of Light or Holy Light, but we usually don't want to waste time of the casting of them. So they use this little bit just special situation, and there's 2 situations when these cast of heals are worth it. The first one is we don't have range, we can click like Judgment, but Crusader Strike is away and we don't have Holy Shocks, then yeah, we are casting because we don't have target. Or maybe target is even far because the Judgment is 30 yards, we are 40. Anything can happen, any situation, or the spec that just died and you need a little bit heal because they are not full your group, so you're casting Flash of Light or Holy Light, depending if you have more mana or you need to heal it faster. Another situation is when you have no cooldowns to use, you have nothing, you don't have Holy Shock, you don't have anything. See, I have nothing to click, I don't have wings, I cannot click that, and obviously I now had Holy Power, but if you click everything and you don't have Holy Power to heal and everything is on cooldown, just put 1 cast there, or 2, but usually just 1, and then you have something else to click. So just 1, repeat on the last, just so with everything understood. Our main heals are World of Glory and Holy Shock with the Glimmers. Let's move on cooldowns, there's still lot of to talk with the cooldowns, because we have one very special guy that is very niche and tricky to use it correctly. But we'll start with a very easy cooldown. It's our Wings, or official name, Avenging Breath. When you click it, 15% of your damage increase, 50% of your healing increase, and 50% critical strike increase. It was 20, it's got nerfed, so it's 25% nerf of that ability, so not as strong, but still very nice thing to do. Anytime we need to heal, good ability to use, but it's also increasing our damage. 15% and 50% critical is also good for damage, so it's not so strong to be worth it to just keep it and wait. Oh, there in 5 minutes I need to be sure I need to have it. No, just use it more or less on cooldown. Don't keep it waiting, because if you don't need to heal during that duration of your wings, you will just use it for damage. And you're also getting free wings every 12 casts of holy abilities, or holy power spending abilities rather. So you will be getting it very often. It's just a little bit better everything you do without cooldown. Just if you see it, just click it. Even on healing damage, obviously don't click it when you're running somewhere. Okay, you need to be in combat and fighting something, not on running. Don't recommend it there. And I will hop straight into the devil one, and it's Daybreak. That's absolute new cooked cooldown for our paladins. I'm trying to find it. Where are you? It took me a while to find it, but I got it. I needed to cut the video because I was looking for it. So what it's doing is absorb your actual glimmer. I like to say consume, but yeah. So we consume our Glimmer of Lights that are already applied. Taking their effect at 200%, so it's twice as good. They tick and grant you 3000 mana per Glimmer of Light consume. That's a little bit extra. You can get some mana back from your Holy Shocks. Holy Shock is costing 6000. Yeah, so it's half cost. You can recycle. And the other thing, this will be just simple, know where to use it, okay. But you have another. Is Riding Sunlight. After casting the Daybreak, your next 3 Holy Shocks are cast 2 additional time. So, next 3 Holy Shocks is triple cast. And with this combination, there is a lot of different combos and situations when this ability is good to use. So let's go about like rules when you should use it and where it's better to use it. So the first rule, not as obvious maybe on the first look, is the more you have it spread when you use it, the better your profit. Because when you have like 1 glimmer, it makes sense it will heal twice as much. But if you have 2, 3, 4, 5, it's the healing or damage is divided or split evenly among those targets. But when you are using Daybreak, it's activated 2% of effectiveness. So that means you will get 100%, so it's like everybody got healed by 21,000, like default, and then it's doubled. So more you have it, the more profit, because it's act like 200% value, so it doesn't matter how many targets you have, it will always heal or damage like it's only one target. So more you have, more profit. That's the first base rule. Then maybe I will walk away about 30 rules, because that's one of the main rule, and other one it's like good situation where to use. For healing, it's nice when there's some AoE boost heal and you don't need to heal anymore. It's done. You can just consume them, finish healing your group, and just move on. For example, like you got a spark ad on the last boss in Vortex Pinnacle. You are healing. A spark died. You no longer need to AoE heal because nobody's getting damage now. But people are like about 70-80% health. You just consume that glimmers because they will anyway perish until next ad, because you're now going to triangle. So you just use your glimmers, you get some mana back, and you don't need that glimmers because in next 20 seconds, well, maybe too much, next 15 seconds, you are not healing anything. For a glimmer consumption, it's also nice combination when we need burst healing, and when we are doing the burst healing, we have two possibilities what is happening. We have glimmers on everybody. Then we I don't know if I get lucky to get more. Alright, let's act. I will have 3 glimmers and that's everybody. And then I need the burst healing and I will consume it. Bam, that will got profit, and then I will just use it. Divine Tool to reapply. Its Holy Shocks will heal anyway. So this another burst healing, and you have that glimmers back, so I'm just not missing. And when you are blasting your next Holy Shocks, your glimmers are shining nicely and everybody is getting pumped. Or other situation, you don't have any glimmer, and you really need to really fast AoE heal right now because some people are very risky and close to be dead. Then just blast, just Divine Tool to heal them with Holy Shocks, apply glimmers, and then you will just eat that glimmers. And just huge AoE, but then you need to take attention. You shouldn't do that combo when you still need to continue healing after that. And that was just half of the ability, because that was just consuming glimmer and how to use with them. Then we have the other half as talent underneath, and we have triple cast of triple Holy Shocks. That means we can pump single target with that, we can pump single target healing and damage also. I really like using it for damage. And its triple use is obviously giving us triple holy power that we can another use for damage or another use for healing. So we can really use it when we need to pump single target, like my favorite example, third boss in Uldaman. That guy is just having insane bleed on one target. We don't care then how many glimmers we consume, we need to have at least one. So we can use that ability. And then, target is bleeding, you're blasting, bam. Triple Holy Shock, Ball of Glory, Triple Holy Shock, Ball of Glory. And it's between some abilities because you need to cool down on Holy Shock. That's very huge potential on single target healing. And also we can use it when we're fighting boss, nothing is happening, you can pump more. You have one glimmer, maybe on boss, maybe second on tank, doesn't matter. You will click that, you will get triple cast of Holy Shocks and just blast it to the boss. And that is quite nice damage increase for you and for your single target, because paladins are not really known about single target. It's getting much better now with the triple Holy Shocks, new glimmer, and extra damage Shield of Righteous to first target. So that's increase our single target massively. Yeah, so you need to just get used for these abilities a little bit. I would say funny and tricky to use. So when we are finished with the heal, good thing to use. Or when we need a really fast boost of the healing combined with a Divine Tool, or just for the single target healing, single target damage, something extra. I think I could talk about this cooldown for hours, but let's move ahead. I'm talking way too much already. And let's move ahead to another cooldown. It's still Deteriorating. It was also always with us from start of this DLC Dragonflight, but now after Season 2 this patch, it got a huge buff. They already nerfed it by 15%, but it's still much better than before. So what is this doing? It's like two parts of this cooldown. One part is healing AoE every 0.7 seconds by 8000, so it's decent ticking AoE because it's for long duration. It's not really much, but it's a really long duration. That's what is nice for it. And the second part, everybody who got healed have 25% increased healing from Holy Shocks. Also Flash of Light and Holy Light, but best for us is Holy Shock, because that's what we are using the most. And that's together with the 1.5 minute cooldown. It's just equals to pleasure. So we can use it in two situations, or best to use when you have a lot of healing over time. We have some few bosses, like the second boss in Vortex Pinnacle, there is always damage over time, or third boss in also Infusion, there's always non-stop damage over time. Or we can focus on the burst phase, and that's burst phase. That we can use that 25% healing increase as the burst healing. We can start with Tear of Deliverance and then just use Divine Tool and stuff like that, because it's 25% healing increase, and that's quite a huge healing increase. But most usually you just use it for healing AoE, and obviously that healing extra is definitely worth it. What we want to do with this ability, you can extend that, and you can extend that up to 40 seconds. Base duration is 20 seconds. You cannot extend it longer than 40 because that will be so easy and we will have a non-stop uptime. Holy Shock extended it by 2 seconds, and usually it's enough to just spam that 20 extra seconds because we usually use that Holy Shock at least 10 times when we are doing that ability. Keep in mind, Holy Shock that is doing damage is not extending it. I tried, it's not extending. Holy Shock need to be to heal. Maybe they fix it later, or maybe that's how it should always work. But Holy Shock need to be healing Holy Shock to be extending this ability by 2 seconds. But how people are usually extending this is with the use of another cooldown with Hand of Divinity. That is causing your next 2 Holy Lights to heal 80% more. Nice, cost less, 50% less mana, and be instant. And it have exactly the same cooldown, 1.5 minutes. That's why a lot of people are using always these two together. They will cast Tear of Deliverance, they will cast Hand of Divinity together. And when you have these 2 Holy Lights instant, they are extended by 8 seconds. That's 16. That means only thing to remind for you to do in that 36-second window is to use 2 Holy Shocks, what you usually do. And then you have full duration of that ability. And just don't forget, I often cast it together and then I don't use that Holy Light because its duration of that is 20 seconds, and sometimes I just cast it and never extend the duration. But if you do, bam, bam. It's almost full duration and 2 Holy Shocks. And that's full. It's not obviously not 40 seconds because I click it too late. But that's everything you need to do, and you can see the buff for the final target increased by 25%. And combined with the beacons, it's really decent AoE heals. So, next one, I will talk about Hand of Divinity, but we just said about it. And it's also a nice combination because Tear of Deliverance is healing AoE, and doing that AoE, you usually need to heal somebody a little bit more because 1 or 2 targets have much less health than the whole group. So then it's time to just click that instant Holy Light to that card. It's healing massively, a huge amount of heals. Did I use it there? Do I have it? Holy Light. 2 casts. Not that much, but 377 is still decent. It's just, what? Just 250 critical? I had more. I had 400 critical, but I don't know. I think it was even better and better. The healing taken increase and stuff like that, but it doesn't really matter. So really nice to use it together, and one is extending the other, and it's increased by 25%. It's healing, that's another reason it healed that much, and it's not compensating because this is only AoE heal, and you usually need to do some single target during that, so you usually always use that ability together. And so no need to talk about Hand of Divinity, but can we also use it solo when you really need that another single target heal when you don't have enough holy power and don't have Daybreak to have that triple Holy Shock. And just cast Hand of Divinity, one single target is dealing bam, 200 instantly, 400k in a matter of 2 seconds. That's another use, but usually it's together, Tear of the Elements. Then we have Divine Tool. This ability is here, long time with us. It was Kyrian Paladin in the Shadowlands. Now it's our default ability on default. We need to choose it. This in left tree, every Paladin have it. Every spec, I wanted to say. And what is dealing? It's casting 5 Holy Shocks. If you choose friendly target, your 5 Holy Shocks, even if I will right here, 5 Holy Shocks, everything went, every single training dummy. So when you are targeting it on friendly target or through UI, it next forecast will prioritizing friendly targets, so it should be heals. If you have only 3 targets that can be healed, the next 2 will be casted on enemy. If there is no enemy, it's not casted. If you cast it on enemy target as first, it will be looking for enemy target. If there is not, it will choose friendly target and it will heal instead of doing damage. So for example, when you're fighting boss and you click it on him as first target, it will do damage to boss and another 4 will be casting to your group, usually prioritizing the lowest health. But this ability changed a lot of times, and it was when Dragonflight came, it was working different than Shadow events, so you don't really know how much prioritizing there are, but that's how it should be. When I do damage, everything went over damage, nothing. Healing done is 0. I think I might got it. Oh, no. No? I think this was back to it was showing on training dummy, but this training dummy is a little bit weird. Yeah, but 5. I hit something else, doesn't matter. it's just somewhere. But that's how it works, and we are using it on burst healing, burst damage, and as usual with everything for healing and plus, if it can be damage and we don't need heal, we're using it for damage. Just blast it to enemy. AoE better on boss is not so important, but you can combine it one on boss, others for your group for passive healing or just shield stacking. Then we have Aura Mastery, usually with our Devotion Aura, damage reduction increased by 50%, so Devotion Aura default is 3%, when I use Aura Mastery for 8 seconds is 15, so when it's use AoE damage, just use it. Sometimes it's helping for single likes. Again, the magic third boss in Uldaman, when it's on that bleed, just use it on bleed, it will still help. It's just 12% more damage reduction, but it's still defense, and you don't really need like AoE defense there because only one guy is dying on that boss. Others, you have lots of time to finish healing them. And the last from the cooldowns, there are 4 of them, but it's basically always the same, are the Blessing of Seasons. No longer playing in raid, in dungeon still. So let's talk about them. The Blessing of Winter is for the mana, and you just use it on yourself, nobody else needs mana. Now the even damages have 2050k mana and 250,000. I said it like this, sorry. And there was mana they definitely don't need for this spell stuff, they should have enough. So this always use it on yourself, no big brainer. And then is the healing one. It's Blessing of Spring, and that's increasing healing by 30% and healing taken by 15%. If you need to heal AoE a lot, that's my figure out that is saying it's ready. If you need to hit, oh, I said it wrong. It's healing received. Sorry. It's healing received 30% and healing down is 50%. If you need to heal AoE whole group, use it on yourself. Otherwise, just use it on tank because they're usually healing 100k, 200k on bad hard packs. If you have that kind of tank, it's absolutely blaster to just put it on him. He will be healing himself much more, and it's so funny how to see how much he can heal himself. So if you need AoE healing on yourself, if you're just fighting packs and you're not sure if you'll be healing or not and stuff like that, just use it on tank. And his survival is much better than you are just sparing yourself time that you would need to heal that, because that's, let's say that's 45, above 45%, maybe even more healing increase that tank is doing to himself. So absolutely huge. Then Blessing of Summer is the damage one. Choose damager that have already cooldowns and will be blasting, or just your best damager just by the table. You don't want to bother, but it's best to just see who got cooldowns ready. And never use it on Augmentation Evoker because his damage is counting as the other player's damage. So then just use it on other guys because it just do 150k with Augmentation Evoker, and on other damager it will do at least 400k. And if you have my best one, I think it was 5.8 millions I got from Bankas of this ability, but it was like quadra pack on the start of the dungeon, and everybody got cooldowns, flask and bloodlust and everything, so it can be absolutely humongous damage. But yeah, on the damager who got cooldowns, if not, just use your best damager, better numbers in the dungeon if you don't want to bother. And don't use it on augmentation because his damage is counting as, well, like his damage increase is more for the others, so it's not really counting for your blessing. And this one little bit special one is cooldown reduction. Some damager will hate it, some damager will love it. Sometimes you get, oh, I never had good cooldowns, it was desynchronized and was annoying. I don't know why. Oh, I was blessing. Oh, I know what was happening now. Oh, he was giving me blessing. If you need to heal, same as Blessing of Spring, use it on yourself. If you use boss fight, tyrannical, you just want your cooldown faster, and it's Holy Paladin is really benefiting for faster cooldown because you have lots of cooldowns. Haste is one of the reasons you are getting the shorter cooldowns. That's one of the reasons you are getting haste. So this one is buffing you a lot, and you're healing a lot. Damage too. If not, use it on damager. It's again min-max. You need to watch. Oh, they have cooldowns ready. They are just waiting another 20 seconds for next pack to use them. Oh, this guy just use it. That's how you best use it. If you cannot decide, just do it. Just do the same thing again. Just check numbers, overall damage in the dungeon and put it on best player. But you know, min-max is min-max. And it's best as with the most cooldowns to just put it as soon as possible out. Just don't keep it, oh, boss is coming, I will keep cooldowns or healing increase because that boss will be hard, but it's in 3 minutes. And meanwhile you can use another blessing, another blessing. Oh, another blessing. 2 more blessings. Maybe even 3. Because cooldown is 45 seconds even when you use this one on cooldowns. The cooldowns of next blessing is regenerating faster, so think about even that. You can squeeze in 3 minutes a lot of blessings, maybe full rotation, so just try to use it as much as possible. It's to your profit and profit of your group, because you are decreasing that cooldown and damage increase. Okay, it's counting as your damage, but it's still damage of somebody else, and that's helping your group. Forgot to mention with cooldowns is Light of Hand, but this one is straightforward. It's long cooldown, but usually have talents that is decreasing. We don't care about the 5% of mana return. That's nice, but we don't really care. And it's off global cooldown, so we can use it anytime. And when somebody is dying and you really need to save them, instantly click it. You see somebody is very, very, very close to be dead, instantly buzz it. Don't really think about it. Oh, I have this cooldown, I will use it in healing. It's not even shared through beacons. And 600 is healing your health. Exactly, 100% of your health. That's how much is healing. So to tank, you will see it's not really strong because it's 100% of your health, not the tank one. And some tanks have more than 1 million, like Demon Hunter when he is in meta. And yeah, don't think about it like I have this part in the healing. Think about this lifesaver when somebody's dying. So don't count on it, but use it. Definitely use it when it's needed. That's all from cooldowns. And little note of utilities of Paladin. There are quite good ones on some dungeons. There's Blessing of Protection, any psychical damages help. Sometimes when you have Devastation Evoker, but maybe not now because everybody's playing Augmentation. It's good if somebody's really dying from fast aggro. You can use it for their Blessing of Protection. Otherwise, it's very huge for bleeding. So Turbos, Uldaman, there you can use it. Or in Uldaman when you have the slams, that psychical damage, and that golems, they are doing psychical damage, you can protect somebody. Absolutely good thing to use it on when somebody is clot DPS because, you know, psychical damage and you don't have armor because you are clot. Another uses, there's a lot of use in Nautarus. There is 2 instances in Trash that are giving bleeds. There are 2 types of bleeds. And on the boss with the chains, so between chains he's jumping on someone and he's putting bleed. Now Evoker can dispel that every single one, but if you don't have Evoker, this will help you a lot to just get rid of that bleed. Another utility is Blessing of Sacrifice. We have just 1 minute cooldown because we have talent, and we should have talent for shorter cooldown. If nothing else, just use it on cooldown on tank, and if somebody is dying single target a lot, just put defense on them. For example, you have AoE, physical damage, and you have some clothing in a group, just put it on him. My advice, don't use it on blood that kind of tanks, because you will die. If you see blood that kind of tank is dying, oh, his health is going down, up, because that's how that kind of work. And you will check he have 300,000k health per second. If you put sacrifice on him, your health will just disappear. At least it's turning off when you're below 20% of health, so it won't kill you, but you will be surprised how fast you start dying when you put it on. But that kind with a huge pack. And one other special utilities is Blessing of Freedom, but we shouldn't and never should forget when we are in freehold and fighting second boss. Well, what the second boss doing is throwing that cake, and that guy cannot do anything for another 10 seconds. Freedom will help you. It will just free that guy. You can precast it because Freedom it's applied for whole duration, but I prefer to just wait who will get the cake because people are jumping here and there and blinking and stuff like that, and then somebody else has got it and then you have nothing to use. So I just wait who will get it and use Blessing of Freedom. That is helping a huge amount of time. And on the end, let's talk about damage. We already talk because you are doing damage, you are getting Holy Power and you are healing with that. But when you don't really need to heal, you are just focusing fully on doing damage. So let's talk about now, we don't need to heal, let's do as much damage as possible. So we are always keeping concentration up, even on a single target, because we want to have ready it for healing. And on AoE, it's doing decent. It's overlapping now. My UI got a little bit scuffed later with the patch, and it's 15k about, depending on critical, sometimes less, sometimes more, depending on stats for on gear, but it's decent DPS. On AoE, more targets to more target because it's not capped on the target, it's doing to every single target. So when you have 50 targets in the pack, it's doing to 50 targets. That can be even 50k DPS just with the concentration. Then we are spending Holy Power on Shield of Righteous when we are about to cap. Obviously, when we have reduce Holy Presence 2, and next Holy Shock or Crusader Strike would give us Holy Power that would be wasted because it cannot be charged more. So we're definitely using it to spend it. Now one. We don't want to overcome Holy Power, we want to spend it. If not for healing, then it's going for damage. And Shield of Righteous is now buffed a lot, even for single targets, so it's definitely worth it. Too bad it's now on global cooldown, and was not before, but it's still an amazing ability. So we're standing concentration, but keeping concentration 100% up is much easier because it's proccing the Judgment. I was not lucky. Spending our Holy Power or Shield of Righteous, so they are not wasted. And then Holy Hammer of Wrath. You can cast it with wings on lower target. We just always cast it because it's very cheap on mana and it's doing most damage. It's most damage ability. It's huge. It's 31,000, a little bit less because we have wings now. So it's our best damaging ability. Then we using Judgment because it's similar than Crusader Strike, but it's also the passive damage prevention. So I like to put it higher priority because we are min-maxing damage, okay, but we still can be damage prevention, and that tank will get that melee hit anyway. So why not? Damage wise is similar to Crusader Strike, but just giving one Holy Power rest. And then we have Holy Shocks, switching target. If it's one target, we are passing the stat target, but when it's AoE, we are splitting on as many targets as we can. And that's all from damage. I didn't notice the Prism here, but I was talking about Prism a lot during healing, so let's say its Prism is taking some from the damage, keeping concentration, spending Holy Power on Shield of Righteous, so we are not wasting extra Holy Power that we cannot store because our maximum is 5. Hammer of Wrath, when we can use it. Then Judgment, with the Crusader Strike, and we're blasting Holy Shocks. It's not huge damage, but Glimmer is what is dealing damage. If I check what I was doing a lot of times, can I find a Glimmer here? Yeah, here is Glimmer and here is Holy Shock. So absolutely huge difference. Glimmer is doing much more than Holy Shock. And I put Holy Shock as lowest priority because it's doing a lot, but if you are looking for a guide for Holy Paladin, you rather keep that Holy Shocks for healing. If you want to min-max, then yeah, it's worth to use Holy Shock with better priority. So anyway, I think this was so long and I did so many mistakes. I record the same parts multiple times. Any questions you have, just write it to comments on Hoban Discord. I will be responding as soon as possible, in one day maximum. Also, I have this guide exactly similar, not the same things. I try to say exactly things I do on video, but the same guide is on Discord in written form. If you just want to see it in text, it's often better to remember when you see it in text than just to listen once, maybe twice. Also, I will link under the video the import string for talents, what I have. And also I will link video or two when I'm playing Holy Paladin in dungeon. On the right corner, maybe you notice it's showing what ability I'm using when, what target, and you can see. So we can check like Holy Paladin in action, and you can see it in MM+. Maybe that will be better teaching for you than just looking for some guide when you see somebody actually playing that hero and you can see every ability that they are using. Yeah, so anyway, thank you for watching and goodbye.